Woo! Man, I got to tell you, that was close. I thought we were going to get through a season without hearing anything stupid out of Sheryl Swoopes' mouth and anything that sounds rather interesting, something that you might choose to give some side-eye to.
The Indiana Fever just shook the entire WNBA with a bold and unexpected decision. In a single move, they released not one, but two prominent rookies from the roster, sparking intense reactions throughout the basketball community. As fans scrambled to understand what was happening, Sheryl Swoopes re-emerged into the spotlight, almost like she was staging a return of her own. But this time, her focus wasn't solely on Caitlin Clark. She was calling out the entire Indiana Fever organization.
And you have a black player that just got cut, and Sheryl Swoopes is not happy about that.
What began as a routine roster adjustment quickly escalated into a league-wide controversy filled with tension and headline-grabbing moments. Just when it seemed like Sheryl Swoopes had stepped away from the spotlight for good, she resurfaced unexpectedly, sparking fresh debate. What exactly did she have to say? And how is the Indiana Fever responding to all the chatter? Share your thoughts on Swoopes in the comments. We want to hear from you. Let's dive in. Let's begin with the headline-making roster decisions. The Indiana Fever just executed one of the boldest preseason shakeups in recent memory. Bree Hall, yes, the dynamic guard and two-time national champion from South Carolina, was released before she even had a real opportunity to prove herself on the court. No playing time in the season opener against Washington, limited action against Brazil, and just like that, she was off the roster. And if that felt like a major surprise, the Fever had more unexpected moves up their sleeve.
Hall is now gone, as you know, and today it was announced that Yvonne Ejim has been waived by the Fever as well. Sophie Cunningham talked about that yesterday, saying you can latch on to another team, another place.
Just because you didn't make a roster doesn't mean you're out at the WPL.
For roughly 24 hours. Later, the Fever made another surprising move, parting ways with Yvonne Ejim, the standout scorer from Gonzaga, known for her relentless drive and passion that energized the entire Pacific Northwest. Two rookies, each with impressive college careers and genuine potential, were let go before they could even settle in. Their professional journeys were cut short before they truly began. It was a harsh reminder of how unforgiving professional sports can be. It's not always about talent. It often comes down to timing, team needs, and the cold math of roster decisions. It's where dreams collide with the business side of the game.
So the Indiana Fever, as expected, have waived Yvonne Ejim. She's just not at the level that the Indiana Fever are hoping her to be at.
The Fever announced it directly. Thank you, Yvonne Ejim, who was the all-time leading scorer in Gonzaga history.
Naturally, the question on everyone's mind is, why these two players? To understand the tough calls, you have to look at the Indiana Fever's salary cap situation. Much of the Samoa strain came from the buyout of Katie Lou Samuelson's sizable contract, which was necessary to free up space for key veteran signings. As a result, the team could only afford to carry 11 players. Most of them established veterans like Natasha Howard, Dana Evans, Sydney Colson, Brianna Turner, Sophie Cunningham, and Damaris Dantas. Add in the newly re-signed Kelsey Mitchell, and that's a roster packed with guaranteed contracts. Cutting any of them would still leave their salaries on the books. The only players whose contracts could be removed without financial penalty were those still on their original rookie deals: Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and Lexi Hull. But, let's be honest, there's no scenario where the Fever would part ways with any of those three. That means 10 of the 11 roster spots were essentially locked in, leaving very little room. And unfortunately, Bree Hall and Yvonne Ejim were the odd ones out.
Man, it's hard, right? We all reached out. I think that they brought really good people in, great people into training camp this year. But, just because you didn't make this squad, this is probably one of the harder rosters to make in the W this year. It doesn't mean you're out of the W. And you just got to keep ready, keep playing, keep grinding it out. And if it's hard to make the league. I know Sid and I, we were second rounders. We stuck. Her experience is a little bit different than mine. But just because you didn't make a roster doesn't mean you're out of the W.
In truth, all three rookies, Bree Hall, Yvonne Ejim, and Michaela Timpson, were essentially competing for a single available roster spot. And based on training camp and preseason performances, it looks increasingly likely that Timpson will secure that role. Her high-energy play, defensive versatility, and ability to run, the floor have addressed a clear need in the Fever's front court rotation. Many fans are already calling her the steal of the draft. Selected 19th overall when several analysts projected her to go in the top 10.
Michaela Timpson is obviously at a certain level. She's a rim runner. She just obviously has a higher ceiling than Ejim at the moment. And this is maybe a hot take
for fans of Bree Hall and Yvonne Ejim. This moment stings on a deeper level. This wasn't simply a numbers decision based on stats. It was the harsh reality of salary cap constraints, limited roster flexibility, and a franchise laser-focused on capitalizing within a narrow championship window. These cuts hurt, not just because of the talent lost, but because they symbolized something more: potential, promise, and hope. And in an instant, two bright futures were put on pause.
After all, we saw Sheryl Swoopes in rare form, hating on Caitlin Clark all last year. Well, maybe she has figured out, hating on Clark, I've been told that's not really a great idea, yada, yada, yada. So, what other white girls can I tune up from the Indiana Fever?
Unsurprisingly, the backlash came fast. And at the front of the uproar, loud and unfiltered, was none other than Sheryl Swoopes. The moment news of Bree Hall's release broke, Swoopes was front and center, sounding off like she'd been waiting all offseason for this exact moment. Her response wasn't subtle. It was a direct and fiery critique, more like a verbal takedown than casual commentary.
Okay, example. The Washington Mystics Indiana Fever game. Because I know on social media people were like, well, why aren't starters in for the Mystics? They could win this game. And I was there, right? Because preseason is about, yes, you're going to play your starters, you're going to play your players. Typically, they don't even play that many minutes, right? Because you have so many players on your roster that you got to make roster cuts. So you're still trying to figure out who can fit what we're doing.